Hello and welcome to All For United with me, John Foster, MUFC. Two bits of big news this week. Man United men's team joining where the women's team are, both top of the league. Absolutely brilliant. We'll be discussing that just a little bit at the early doors. And of course, Lotte Rockvist has now officially confirmed that she's left the club. So we'll be talking about those. We've also going to be talking about, from Brad's point of view, we'll introduce properly in a bit, about Casey Stoney, about his thoughts on her, thoughts on all the matches so far, transfer rumours towards the end of the show. We've got an action-packed live show. So first of all, Natalie, how are you keeping, mate?
I'm doing good, John. It's good to be back again. I mean, last week's show was a big one, so this one's going to be even better. I can't wait.
100%, mate, 100%. And for the people who don't know Brad, please follow him. He's got his Twitter handle just underneath there. Brad, introduce yourself, mate.
Yeah, great to have you. Great to see you guys. Great to be on the show. Yeah, pretty much self-explanatory. My name's Brad Cox, Manchester United football correspondent for Valve UK. Doing all the women's stuff and the men's stuff. It's been a great season to cover them so far. Hoping for some more results similar.
100%, absolutely. Yeah, and let's just kick off with the last match that you was at. It was actually the men's team where you saw Paul Pogba scoring that winning goal. What was the vibe in the area where you were sitting or standing? Obviously Man United went top of the league, they went clear. Were the people around you happy? Were they all Man United fans, or were some of them not Man United fans? What was it like?
Yeah, well, I actually had Darren Fletcher sat right behind me, so it was good to see him. Obviously he's stepping into a coaching role at the club. He was absolutely buzzing with Pogba's goal. It was like there was a fan in the ground right behind me. Fletch really did not shy away from celebrating at all. Had two Burnley, well, I say fans. I think they were doing something towards the betting scheme of things, like telling you where they are on the pitch and all that good stuff. But we, as journalists at Burnley, we're in the same position as the TV camera is, so we see exactly what you see from the same angles. So Pogba's goal was to the right of the pitch. But yeah, it seemed like a big relief for Solskjaer to get 3 points. Obviously, nitty-gritty win, but you got to take what you can get.
100%. And Natalie, you've been waiting a long time as well, obviously, to see United top of the league. You followed them home and away all across Europe, and obviously you must have been over the moon to see that as well.
Buzzing, isn't it? Buzzing that it's both top, and I went on the hairdryer treatment with Soph and Meg. I mean, I know Soph's been on here and we want to get Meg on soon. But, I was saying, imagine in May, if we're all vaxxed up and 2 buses with 2 trophies. Oh, my God. I wouldn't know what to do. I'd be running alongside both. I don't know. It'd just be amazing. And, they're doing it. They're doing it for the fans, man. They're doing it for the fans. That's all I can say. And, it's just onwards and upwards now. It's big games on Sunday for both.
100%, absolutely, yeah. So Brad, let's start off with yourself then. We spoke a little bit about men's football there. What would you say are like the comparisons or the similarities between the men's game and the women's game from what you've seen from the media side at least?
Well, I think one thing that kind of resonates with Manchester United as a whole is bringing in the youth players. Manchester United, with the men's, have had a long history of bringing in players from the grassroots and bringing them in through the academy systems, and you started to see that with Manchester United as well. Lauren James had a great breakthrough in her season this year. Getting her first Lionesses call up, 19 years of age, bright future ahead. I think that's one of the best similarities. But I also think there's that similarity of being worldwide. Manchester United have been known for making staple signings in the past, like Paul Pogba, but they're now doing it for the women, and that's absolutely great to see. Kristen Press, Tobin Heath, etc. They're all coming in, and it's great to see for Manchester United fans and for supporters of the club, not just people who support the club, but financially as well, who back the club. It's good to see those big investments pay off.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, Brad just mentioned LJ there. She's one of your favourite players. That's the good thing about what Casey's been doing. She's got a good blend of bringing in the youth, bringing in experience, bringing in world class. She just ticked all the boxes so far regarding the transfers, hasn't she? Before we move on to Casey, just give us your thoughts on what Brad just said there, Nat.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's what Man United's built on, a youth DNA. A lot of the players that she first originally brought in, Tooney, Millie, Zellum, were Man United girls that had been in the academy before and coming up. Even Emily Ramsey, who's sort of got that number 1 shirt now. You can tell she's pushing Mary. And for me, I've seen it growing up in the 90s, watching Fergie. He's always had, class of 92 coming through. Even now, you've got Rashford and Greenwood, etc. But then you've got your world class. So we've now got Jackie, Tobin, Kristen, all made a World Cup final. The 2 Americans, they obviously won it. But, the fact that Jackie's in that chat and in and amongst and around that kind of thing, that's what you want to see. And even if you look at our defence, Turner and Turner, one's a young one, one's a real experienced one, and for me that complements it perfectly. And it's great to see. It's great to see how the women's team has only just been reformed now, but the DNA, you can see it run through. You can see they exude that Man United confidence. People might say a bit of arrogance, but I love it. And I mean, that's why I fell in love. You said to me about me, Jan, someone who's home, away, Europe, and it was just easy because the minute I started watching this team, I could see that United history in them, if anything, and it's what fans love. It's why we support this club, and just long may it continue for both teams.
You talk about DNA there, and I don't think there's been any manager since Sir Alex that's got the United DNA more than Casey and Ollie. So obviously it's a women's team show, so we'll speak about Casey on this one. Everyone in the comments, everyone watching knows my thoughts and Nat's thoughts on Casey. And I think the fans in general, especially the fans from England who have followed Casey throughout the 2.5 years, think massively highly of Casey. I was just wondering, Brad, what's the kind of perception of Casey from a work point of view, not as a fan necessarily, but from the media and journalists?
Yeah, well, I think one thing that I think is great about Casey is she's so honest. When she's faced tough questions in the media about that trip to Dubai and stuff like that, she was just honest, and she was one of the few managers to address those issues. And I think that really is a good sign for not only Manchester United but the women's game as well, being honest and coming out with something that she probably didn't want to address, but she felt she had to address those situations, and not shying away from the fact that she made a mistake. She was the first one to address that it was probably up to her in the end to whether she was going to let them go, and she did let them go, and then she's come out and apologized for it. And I think that's one of the really good things about Casey is a lot of people know that she's going to be honest. When you ask her a question, she's not going to shy away from it. She's not going to give you a media trained response. Where there's plenty of times when professionals in the industry now are just being asked questions and it sounds like you're speaking to a robot. The typical we take it one game at a time, we'll see you next week sort of thing. Casey gives you a bit more than that, and as a journalist that's great because you always feel welcome to ask a question to Casey Stoney. And I think when she's giving you such a good vibe back, it makes you want to keep going to United games as a journalist and make you want to keep asking her questions, but good questions. And it gets you on her side as well, because it's very easy for the for media and journalists to try and find something that's going to make headlines of something bad, because unfortunately these days people read things that aren't good, which is a shame, but that's just how it works, isn't it? But with Casey, I think honesty is the best policy, and that's the way she's running the club, and that's the way it's going so far. It's really good.
Yeah, she does always admit to mistakes. Even when it was half time and she admitted that she got something wrong, so she changed it for the second half. She always takes full responsibility. 100%, yeah. Just keeping on with these press conferences, obviously from an outsider as a fan who would love to be kind of fly in the room. I know it's a bit awkward because you're doing online press conferences at the moment. But what do you think the aura is like when Casey comes on screen? Or for me, I'll be as soon as she was to walk into the room or come on screen, I'll be I'd take that gasp because we've got so much respect for her, and you'd hang on to her every word. Is that kind of the same with you, or do you guys just get used to it because it's your job, or what's that like?
Yeah. I think you do get used to it. I'm only 19, but back when I was doing my first interviews, of course you're going to be shaky. I mean, your hands will shake, your stutter your words a little bit. But, I think you just kind of get used to it. And, speaking to someone as nice as Casey is, it really helps calm your nerves in those press conferences. And behind closed doors, it's a bit easier to speak to the managers, if you will, because, you could be anywhere in the country. I don't have to be at the training ground every week to attend a press conference. I can attend from home. And after the game, you just get sent a link to your Gmail, and you join in. And I think that's a credit to the United media system as well. They've really made it work during a tough time, making sure everyone's still kept in the loop, because behind closed doors, it'd be really easy for them to hide away and kind of withhold information. But a credit to United's media team. Whenever you need a question being asked, you can feel free to ask, and they love it.
Absolutely, yeah. I don't know when that's gone. I know that she does have problems with the internet every now and again. Let's come on to the games then so far. So obviously, we had a great season last season, finishing fourth, first year in the WSL. A few players left, a few players came in. Casey's learning on the job as well. There's just been such a massive points gap closed. That's been closed. What do you think that's down to, Brad?
I think it's got to be down to the new signings and experience as well. This is a young team, not even to mention a young club. I mean, 2.5 years they've been there, and now you're looking at their third year, and they're doing well. And you've got to say, mixing. We talked about it earlier. Mixing the homegrown talent with world-class signings is one of the things that's been working for Casey. And I think finding that balance is so important, because if you fill a team of youngsters with one world-class signing, it might not pay off. But it has done with Tobin and Kristin. They've been excellent. And yeah, you mentioned the gap, and picking up points against the big three in the WSL. So Chelsea, Arsenal, City, unbeaten against all of them, taking 5 points from those games. I think that's a great credit to Casey and her team, and it does show the improvements that have been made this year.
Nat, we just talked a little bit about how we've closed the gap, like about 18 points this season. But before we get your thoughts on that, as a fan who hangs on every word that Casey says, is there anything that you'd like, not necessarily Brad, but journalists in general, to try and ask more of in press conferences? And also, Brad, do you ever have any restrictions on like things that you can and can't ask? I was just wondering that kind of thing as well.
Are we going to me or Natalie first?
Yeah, go to Natalie first.
Right. So my take is this. Obviously, I think the media, I think it's really improved. I think there's more people on them. More people are asking different questions. I remember when it first started, it was you wouldn't get as many interviews with Casey. I didn't think they even had a weekly press conference. Now it seems like everyone's having it. Maybe it's through COVID. It's sort of easier, and hopefully they'll continue, because I think you need that building up to a game. You have it with Ollie, you have it with all Premier League managers. So I think it's a good thing to have with all the WSL managers. And hopefully it'll even go down to the Championship, because there are big games happening there as well. But for me, I think I've been in an interview with Casey where it was on BBC Radio Manchester. Anyone can look back. I've posted some things. And for me, I'm a massive fan. So it was like the ball in the back of my throat. I was nervous. I was stuttering. And like you say, she has got that aura. She does make you feel comfortable, though. But I think I've been in conferences with her, and I've been just as a fan asking her a question. And I think she didn't really like my question when I asked her as a fan. So I just got a little bit of a stare back. But can she be that intimidating, that kind of, when Fergie sort of says it, and do you get worried if you've asked her, say, for example, Dubai, or if someone ever asked her about transfers, which I don't think she's really keen on answering. And that's what I would like to see a lot more, because we call this a Thursday transfer show between me and John, because we just hear little things. And like I said, usually when you hear it in the women's game, it is true, because there's not those rumours. So that when you hear something, it's usually they are looking at a player or not. And I think that's what I would like to see, just a bit more direct. Are you looking at this? What do you think of this? And I know she'll always protect her players. That's great. But is there ever a time when anyone gets like a deadly Casey stare, or you can feel like, oh, they shouldn't have asked that?
No, I think to be fair, I think Casey's been in the job long enough now to expect some of the tough questions coming her way. And being top of the league, you're gonna have tough questions. You're in the limelight. Ollie's now facing tough questions as well from the media. Whether he can keep up this form, are they title contenders? He has still refused to comment on that question that gets asked every press conference. But with Casey, I think she's getting used to it. Of course, last week was a tough one with the Dubai questions, but I think she handled herself very well last week. And this week there'll be none of that because it's gone and it's past, and now it's looking forward to the game. And that's one thing that they're really keen to kind of tell the media straight away is, look, you've had your questions about Dubai, move on. It's time to focus on football. On the pitch is what matters. So that's what we'll be asking about. But no, I think no. My only one thing that I've asked Casey was whether she thought that it was a penalty in the City game in the Conti Cup towards the end to get the winner, and she kind of just threw it back at me and said, "Well, what did you think? Did you think it was a penalty?" I wasn't gonna disagree with her, but I did actually agree. I did think it was a penalty, and she was like, "Yeah, good. That's what I thought," sort of thing, No, in a comforting way, of course. No malicious intent, and that's kind of the way you got to take it. Have a little banter with these managers because they'll give it you back, and that's what's great to see.
Definitely gives it back. Definitely terrifying sometimes.
Brad, I know that you've been to one of the City games this season so far. What are your thoughts on the actual matches themselves, where we've played the big three because we've come out smelling like roses? Even last season, where we didn't actually win in the WSL, we only lost each game 1-0. So I think we held ourselves really well last season. This season, we're showing that we're there to be counted and to be recognised. So the City games, obviously, we drew one of them 2-2, where we had a fantastic comeback. And then the other one, we won on a penalty shootout. What's your thoughts on those two games?
Well, I was only at the Conti Cup one on the penalty shootout, and you can tell there's starting to become a rivalry between the two. And I think that's really key for the women's game, is because it is still young and still developing. So these rivalries are still forming, and that's what fans love. Fans love rivalries. They love matches with so much on them, so much on the players to win and put in a performance. And put in a hard tackle every once in a while on each other. It just lifts the entertainment. But like I said, with the City game, the 2-2, the comeback, Manchester United DNA, isn't it? You've already mentioned it. The comeback, the style of it. With Heath's goal, and then the penalty shootout as well. It was 0-0 for the majority of the game. Coming up to the final 10 minutes, United throwing everyone forward to try and get that win. And unfortunately, it didn't happen for them until penalty shootouts. But in that cup, you don't get as many points for a penalty shootout win. But yeah, definitely those two games, I think it's an improvement from last year, 100%. And Manchester United women are starting to prove that they can battle these top teams, and that's so important for their mentality. Especially when you are, at the end of the day, you're going for a title. I mean, Casey won't admit that they are title. They are going for the title, but behind closed doors, they are. Come on, they are.
Well, yeah. I'll ask this question. Go on. You go first.
I mean, that's what I wanted to sort of say, and I will touch on that game again. But yeah, a lot of times she does come out and say, we're only looking at Champions League. We're only, top three is our aim. Anything further, yes. But, and even sort of like you say, we've taken points off all these teams. We beat City, beat Arsenal, and she's still saying no, but we're not in the race. And like you say, Ollie said the same. Why do you think managers come out and do that? Like, obviously, to avoid that pressure. But, when do you think it's going to come to the point? I mean, do you think beating Chelsea and then she'll have to say something? What's your opinion on that, Brad?
Well, I think, yeah, like you said, if beat Chelsea, then that's really is a statement win. Put some gap at the top, that's for sure. But your question about why do managers say that, I think, yeah, not only is it to hold some pressure off, but also you don't want to seem like you're getting cocky as a manager, because that one defeat and it'll come back to bite you. Because you best believe if you say you're going to win the title and you feel like you are the only ones that are challenging, and in the end of the day you don't win the title or you end up bottling it, then the media are going to come back and throw it in your face sort of thing. But yeah, I think if that Chelsea game does go United's way, then there's going to be lots of questions about the title, whether it's possible or not, which of course it is possible, but whether she'll admit it, we'll have to see.
Now, Brad mentioned rivalry there, and obviously the first game that we play City, there's going to be a rivalry, but I think the rivalry this season means more because we're almost on the same level. Maybe you can say that we are on the same level now. Maybe you can say that we've gone past City now. There's loads of, either way, there's a proper rivalry there now because we've got two WSL top quality teams going for that title. How do you feel like that it's kind of changed now this season from like the first and second season? That, I mean, do you kind of see a change in that rivalry? The fact that maybe City kind of know that we're here now?
Yeah, 100%. I think when we first started, we were in the Championship, and so obviously we weren't playing City, but they knew we were around. Everyone knew we were around. Yes, it wasn't in the WSL, but I think a lot of fans, I remember of City fans, you'll never be as big as us. You'll never do what we're doing. You'll never beat us. You'll never do this. And I think, like you say, cats amongst the pigeons now. We're here. We're at the top. They're scrambling to catch up to us. And I just want to throw that back to Brad. I mean, he said about the rivalry and being at that City game. Do you think the rivalry is still there? Because for me, I feel like we brought that rivalry. I mean, I know Emma was on here before and she was saying, we need fans to be vocal. We need fans like this. And basically, to be honest, describing what we do, I'm sure Brad's seen it, all the flags that are painted out at LSV. But, as well as Casey said, when the fans are in the ground, we know it's a rivalry because they let us know. And, we've been at all them games, John, even the Etihad, when there was 37,000 people, it was their ground. But I think we still asserted ourselves as fans on that game. You, Brad, still feel like even without fans, the players it still feels that extra bit, this is a rivalry, this is the one kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think they'd be lying to themselves if they said they loved playing Manchester City and loved playing Arsenal. I think they'd be lying if they said we were friends with each other. Off the pitch, you can be friends with each other. If you play if in the England squad together, of course you're going to be mates. Happens in the men's game all the time. The hugging and stuff after the game, which Roy Keane has been keen to hate on.
Yes.
Yeah, he's been keen to hate on that. But of course, when you're on that pitch, you want those 3 points, and the girls do show that in the tackles that come flying in. I think. Trying to get those 3 points as well in the tight games. I think United with that 2-2 would have taken that draw as players, but you can't deny the fact that they probably could have won it as well. To take all 3 points, and they would have loved nothing more to take 3 points off Manchester City. There's no friendliness on the pitch, that's for sure. And with fans or without fans. I've only been to women's games without fans so far, so I'm looking forward to seeing some games with some fans and comparing and contrasting it. But from what I've seen, definitely there are rivalries even without the fans. But with those flags, they're pretty sure that they know that you guys are supporting them from home.
You mentioned that United wanted to win that City game. The other City game where we won on a penalty shootout, even though we knew already that we'd been knocked out. The celebrations of that penalty shootout was absolutely amazing. There's a famous picture now where all the teams on the halfway line and every one of them is celebrated in a different way. And it just goes to show it's a game that one, they want to win, but two, it's City, it's a derby, and they don't want to lose any match, but especially against City. I grew up in the Man United Arsenal rivalry on the men's team. I was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s, so Arsenal's a big rival of mine. How do you think we're doing compared to the Arsenal women's team at the moment?
Well, I think they've had a few struggles recently. Playing at home's been a bit different for them. I think in their last game they kind of grinded out a win. But I think one big difference between this United side and Arsenal side is there's a bit more the fans expect a bit more from Arsenal, mainly because of their history of being such a good club and winning things as well. So that's always got pressure on. Whereas still a young side for KC. There's not that added pressure of you've won titles for the past 4 or 5 seasons sort of thing. You've won these cups, etc. You've got that pressure on. There's none of that with KC and United. So although we might start to see that come in the second half of the season as more victories come in, hopefully for KC. But yeah, definitely, I think one difference is the pressure is kind of off KC. And even top 4 would be a great achievement for this United side. Getting into that privileged Champions League spot, it'd be such an achievement. So the pressure's off, but it'll soon be on if a title charge is declared.
Nat, your thoughts on the Man United and Arsenal rivalry? Because it's not spoken about that much, is it really? It's a weird one, isn't it? Obviously, City and Liverpool's a rivalry, and Chelsea would seem to be rivaling this season because we're both up there. Arsenal's kind of a bit quiet at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, for us. I mean, in the men's team, it was because it was Patrick Vieira, Roy Keane, those kind of characters that we remember growing up. But with the Arsenal, I don't really think we have a rivalry with them. Not saying that they're not competitors, not saying that we're not fighting up both to get into Champions League. They probably think they can still win the league. We're rivals in that sense. But for me, I'm not sure if Brad sat on any of these press conferences, but Everton, they're our rivals. They are our rivals, 100%. And I think every time we talked about it, didn't we, when Stu came on, when that game was called off. And just, I think, all the history around Willie Kirk and the way he left this club, they do not like Everton, Willie Kirk mainly, to be honest. And for me, I think when we play Everton, it's always about beating them. And yes, they might not be a big team, but I think that's that. Not like manufactured. It's not like a rivalry that's come across from the men's team, because really men's Everton are not really bothered. Yeah, they're Scousers, but Liverpool's a big one. Whereas I think that's good though. For, like Brad sort of said, the women's game needs these rivalries. It's good. It makes it electric on the park and in the stands as well. And I think it's good to see those organic rivalries grow. From the women's game, that's not necessarily I remember in the 90s. It's its own rivalry. It's in its own right. And I'm not sure if you want to say, Brad, whether you were in those press conferences when she talked about, the game being called off. You were in it when she said, you were in it last week when she said she doesn't understand why it was called off and they've not got a positive test. And I don't know if her demeanour changes when she starts to talk about Willie Kirk, but just from reading it, I can tell it does, because I don't know, he's not a well-liked character, I think, in our club.
Yeah, I mean, you can start to tell the atmosphere changing even in a virtual press conference, just from the tone of voice from Casey and that sort of thing. But there's never going to be never really going to be a fight going on, is there? So it's a bit more difficult to grasp on the tone when you're on the end of a phone like this. I'm sure if you're in the room, you'd be able to tell, because there would just be that aura, wouldn't there? But no, it's a bit more difficult virtual.
Awesome. Just go on, Nat.
One more I just want to say about that Conti Cup game that you were at. Emily Ramsey, she's a young keeper. She's one that potentially is not brought up, but I think there's a big future. What's your thoughts on her, Brad? Just obviously from the game that you saw, because obviously not a lot of people have seen a lot of her.
Yeah, well, one thing I think in that game, if I remember correctly, I think she needs to distribute the ball a bit quicker. Sometimes the City strikers were putting some pressure on her, and she seemed to scuff a few kicks. But other than that, she's got that confidence, which is great for such a young goalkeeper. Being a goalkeeper can be a bit daunting at times, especially in a professional level, because at the end of the day, if someone scores on you, it ends up being your fault, unfortunately. No matter if the defense allows the team to get in behind, it always falls back on the goalkeepers. But yeah, definitely, like you said, bright future, 100%.
Thanks, Brad. I know that you're going to shoot off in a second, but if you wouldn't mind just talking to us a little bit about the Chelsea game, the first game of the season, where we started off the campaign with a draw, and then maybe your thoughts on the Chelsea game ahead on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I won't be at that game. Our Women's Super League correspondent will be will be at that game. So, Alex is her name. She's on Twitter as well. She'll be at the game. But I think one thing, like you said, the draw to start off the campaign, I think they'll almost be looking for revenge a little bit. And what a time to get revenge, to extend the lead at the top, really start to take hold of that number one position, will be on the minds of the Manchester United players. And for the Chelsea players, 3 points behind with a game in hand. If you win that game in hand and beat United, you're suddenly top of the league, and the tables have turned. So definitely going to be a big one that both sides want to win, which should ultimately set up an exciting affair. So looking forward to that one.
Super. Any predictions, Brad?
Predictions. Toughy, but I think United will just scrape it. I think United will get a 1-0 win, maybe a 2-1, maybe some United DNA with a last-minute winner. Maybe. How about a penalty, eh?
Hey, absolutely, yeah. Look, thank you for joining us. I hope you haven't grilled you too much.
No, excellent stuff. Yeah, it's been great to be on here, and hopefully after a few more games, come back on and discuss later down the line.
100%. If people want to follow you or find you on social media, how can they go about doing it?
Pretty much that's my at Brad J Cox _. Tweet out all the match reports from Velvo UK, all the quotes, everything there. So if you want to use them, just give me a little tag, a little bit of credit. Always nice to see. But yeah, thank you very much, and hope to see you guys soon.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, mate. Thank you. Cheers.
No worries. Cheers. See you later.
Thank you, mate. Nice one. Awesome. Always great to have a journalist on, or even like a rival fan or someone a little bit less biased, because we get to hear from their side of things. And for me, what I would take out of this is, as a fan who would love to be in the press room or just somewhere behind the scenes, he gets to experience that. And I know you mentioned that you've experienced it once, but doesn't even realise how lucky he is. I mean, I know it's his job, but like as a fan, I would love to be in that room with Casey. And even if I didn't ask anything, I'd just be like looking at everything, and I'm sure you'd be with you.
Yeah, I just love to listen. And I think sometimes we read it in the paper, and then we think of extra things. And I think, Em said it, tweet people like Em, tweet people like Brad. If you want a question, and people always ask me, oh, is this one and this one fit? And I'm saying, I don't know. And I ain't going to ever find out. I think it's people like, Brad, people that are in these press conferences. You need to be tweeting them, asking them, questioning them. I think that's how it's got a lot better through, us fans going out there. And when a journalist is writing an article and you're thinking, this ain't to do with Man United, so why are you interviewing my gaffer? And now I think you see a lot more quotes about the team, about what we're doing, about our plans, and it's people like Brad that is behind that. And so definitely go and follow him, definitely go and ask him a load of questions, because he's here for it. He's here for interacting with the fans, as we've seen by coming on this show.
Yeah, I agree completely. Absolutely, yeah. Guys, 37 people watching across all platforms. Please hit that like button. It really helps. We're going to change the conversation now. We're going to talk about Lotta. Breaking news today. It wasn't really such a surprise because of what's been said lately in social media, but we're going to have our say on that now. And then the rest of the show, we're going to be talking about transfers. So for myself, if I could just summarise for myself regarding my thoughts around Lotta, I think if I could sum it up in one sentence, it would be along the lines of, I'm sad to see her go, but I can understand why Casey's chose to let her go. I don't think she ever did anything wrong. I don't think she's, for example, celebrated Liverpool winning the league on social media. I don't think that she's got on anyone's nerves at the club. I don't think she's disrespected the club. I think she thoroughly deserves a good send-off, which I know the United fans have done that. I think that I've seen loads of positive comments, and I think she really deserves that. I think it got to a point where she was probably third or fourth choice fullback, which isn't a bad thing when you're up against the likes of Ona or Kirsty Smith or even Amy Turner, who done fantastically well last season. And I think she can leave with. I think she can leave with her head held high. She's played for a fantastic club. She got us to fourth. She contributed to getting us fourth last season. But now Casey needs to think, okay, next season, at the moment, we're looking like that we're in Europe. Next season, if we don't win a cup this season, we probably need to be winning a cup next season. If lotteries are going to be in her thoughts for next season, then why not move on? And also with coronavirus, maybe Lotte does want to be close to home as well. So there's a lot of things going on there that I think will help Lotte as well. So Natalie, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, 100%. Lotte came in when we, sad news, 100%, John. Lotte came in when we got to move her. Yeah, it's what she wanted in the end, and I think we have to respect her wishes. I know Casey said as much. COVID, it's been a tough year, but she came in when we needed her the most. When we were facing up to this City game that I've talked about briefly in the Etihad, and she didn't have to come in. She was playing part-time football, and it's her first time playing for Super League professional football, and I see that question on there, but I just think I've got so much respect for her because we had this expectation of her based on our old left back, and unfortunately she didn't live up to that. But it's just the way it is. I mean, I thought she did really well in that City game, so I think she has a lot of potential in her. Can you still hear me?
Sorry, not too sure. We've been having internet connections. I know Matt's had those problems as well. Ben, hopefully she'll come back on soon. But I'm going to read out some of your questions. Nice to see you there, Stu, as well. How good was Lotte? Did we see enough of her to make an opinion? I think we did see enough of her. I think one thing for myself is I would have liked to have seen more of a run of games. So I always compare it to the likes of Fred in the men's game. I think Fred in the men's game needed a run of games to actually get better with time. I don't think Lotte actually had enough run of games. However, that's not a bad thing from Casey's point of view, because Casey sees it in training. She knows who the best person to pick is. But as I mentioned at the start in my little summary, I just think she was always third or fourth choice, especially with Martha now returning from her injury. You can't play them all, can you? So if there was a possibility to let her go in January, then why wait until July, I guess.
Did you hear what I said at the end, John?
No, sorry, you're breaking up a little bit, sorry.
Oh, okay, sorry. No, but I think she started off really well. Just going on this question, actually, that's what I started. I think she started off really well. She got concussion. She came back against Liverpool. It probably wasn't her best performance, and then we didn't really see her as much. We saw her in the Conti games. You still hear me, John?
Yeah, you're okay. Yeah.
Okay, you just froze for a bit. I thought.
Sorry, it might be my end now. Sorry, mate. You carry on.
We saw her in the Conti games. There was times where I thought on and off. I mean, she played versus Chelsea. She played versus West Ham this season, and like you said, she didn't do anything wrong really. But I think Honor's come in really and shown the level that we need to be playing at. And for me, Honor's shown Champions League level. She's really raised the game at fullback for us. I can see. I mean, we're going to go on to it. I don't know if you want to go on to it now, John, or if you're happy.
Yeah, go for it.
I can see another fullback coming in. Whether it's going to be this window, there is strong rumours that someone is coming in. I think it's even confirmed. They're an international. They've got WSL experience, and I think they can play all across the back line. I'm not going to say the name because the person who told me, I want them to break it really. So, for me, when this defender comes in, it's going to, again, not in a horrible way to Lotte, but it's going to be the level that we need. I think they're really going to challenge Turner and Turner. I think they need a bit of that. But then I think, for me, then you'll potentially see Amy Turner maybe go on the right wing again, or, Smithy play on the left, or, I think you'll see maybe Amy Turner and then Honor on the left and things like that. But I think in the summer we might get another fullback, definitely. But the player that hopefully I've been told is confirmed comes in, it'll be a major, it'll be a good thing, and it's just a squad developing. And we talked about going from Championship. We had to add players in then, and Lotta came in when we didn't think we needed her. You know what I mean? Potentially, Lotta could have had a couple more years in the Swedish league, developed herself there, but she came to us when we were in crisis, and I think that's why you're seeing such an outpouring of love and support for her, and people wanting to see more of her, because everyone wanted her to do so well because of the way it happened. And it's unfortunate, but we can't stand in her way. And I think she wants to go and play games now. She's playing for the top Swedish team, so we might even see her in the Champions League. We might see her next year, and it'll be fantastic. And she knows she'll get loads of love from the fans that go out there and the fans on social media. And she's grateful for this, because she says she feels like she's developed, feels like she's grown. So Casey's all about the players. That's what I think as well. It's about the players developing and doing what's best for them.
Yeah.
So this was best for Lotta.
We saw that, didn't we, in the summer? I mean, we don't need to go over all names, but there was players who were left in the summer, and we wasn't particularly happy that they left, because it's sad when your players leave, but we have to look at it from their point of view as well. It's not just a case of improving our squad; it's also about improving them as individuals, and that's going to help Lotta as well, isn't it? Marie's trying the hardest to find out who it is that you're talking about, but it's I'm sure the news will break when it breaks.
Soon.
There's a player, a Spanish player on the thumbnail, Natalie. Do you want to talk about this one?
Yeah, Esther Gonzalez. I know Eva was the thumbnail last year, and I think Eva is very close as well. That's another one, whether it's now or summer, that potentially will happen, Eva. But Esther's a name that's coming up a lot, and I mean, we briefly talked about her last week, but that's one that could happen. I think she desperately wants to come to Manchester United. She's doing very, very well at Levante, scoring a goal per game. It's kind of numbers that we want. It's kind of ruthlessness, and she's got the experience. I think she's 27, so she's someone. But there's also a player that I think could happen. Her name's Martine, and it's in the position that a lot of people are talking about as well, central defensive midfield. I think Hayley Ladd has done fantastic. I love Hayley Ladd. I mean, God, you never come on this show and hear me criticise Hayley Ladd, but I think adding that's what we're doing now. We're adding that competition, John. It's developing our squad. We're building a squad. Essentially, we didn't have a squad before, but I think now we definitely have a squad, and it's just growing and getting better. And that's, for me, John, I'm not sure about you, but central defensive midfield is potentially an area where we are weak, because I saw people on social media saying, is Lad injured? Oh, we've not got anyone else. And really, actually, you're right. We haven't got anyone else. If Jackie's out, you can put Dylan there. If Tooney's out, you can put Staniforth there. But if Lad's out, there's not really anyone. And this Martine hopefully will come in, and whether it's now or in the summer, I know she's one that's potentially wanting to, very desperate, but she's a very good player as well, and playing at Real Sociedad at the minute. She was at Levante. Circumstances meant she had to go to Sociedad, separate from football circumstances. So hopefully, there's this Brexit rule now. I don't know if people know, but you have to have so many appearances for your club. You have to have so many appearances, play for a high-up club. And I don't know if Sociedad meet that, but Levante definitely do. And maybe they can work something out that'll just still happen. But, yeah, I think Martine and Esther are ones that we're looking at. And I'm not going to spill on the centre-back, but I think it's definitely this January someone will come.
Let us know in the comments about who you think we should be signing in January and who you think can wait until the summer. Because obviously with lots of going, I don't think it's the end of the world if we don't get a fullback. I could be eating my words if a couple get injured. But you are right, we can always move Amy back out there, who did fantastically well last season. Not that you want to split up the two Turners, but obviously Martha's come back as well, as we mentioned, and Kirsty Smith. I think the CDM role is something that I haven't spoken about much until maybe last week, when there were rumours about Hayley Ladd potentially not being in this game. I think what's great to see is Casey, in the space of 3 years, is close, very close to building a squad that's got not only a starting 11, but a second started 11 as well, and that's just what you need when going into Europe. So for me, I think another CDM, yes. Whether or not that needs to be in January, maybe not. But I think definitely that's something that we can do in the summer. If I had to kind of prioritise something right now, I would probably say a centre back. I think I've gone up and down. I've gone from a centre back to a full back to a striker. Now that I've seen players coming back from injury, I think we do probably have enough strikers. But for me, if one of our centre backs went out injured, like a long-term injury, not that we want that would kind of worry me more than anything else. What would you say in order of priority in that? Maybe like if you could have maybe just like one for January, then maybe the rest for the summer. How would you kind of go about it?
I agree with you. I think a defender is needed now. I know like Lotta didn't really play, but for me, I think if we get that, and Demirez is going to Lyon, 100k, heard it here first. So for me, if we get that centre back, it is needed, because even if you move Turner and then Abby, but then if Abby picks up a knock, even, you know, then you haven't really got enough players for me. I know some people are saying left back, but I think this player hopefully will be announced ASAP, and that they can play left back. It's like Amy; she can play right back, centre back, and to be honest, you see a fantastic performance from them. Like I said, I don't want to say a name, John, because it's not my thing to say, but I mean, it'll soon come out. It's what we need. I want the competition there, you know. I want it not to. I don't think they do, but I don't want players to feel comfortable. You know what I mean? I want them always to think that player there is quality. They're coming from my spot, and I think now we're at a point where, you know, maybe last year it didn't really matter. Yeah, we could have sold Lotta, or we could have lost someone and someone else would have filled in. I feel like now we need more quality players, and, you know, that depth, 2 or 3 players for every position. That's what I want to see, but not just sort of squad players. I want to see 2 or 3. I want to see another. I want to see someone like Honor challenging Honor, you know, and you know, we're going into the Champions League now, and I think we will see. I don't want to say loads of signings will come in, but you will see a lot more top quality signings. I mean, I know Em said on this podcast she expects Tobin and Kristen to stay. I hope so, but I expect potentially them to stay, in two strikers or 2 forward players, wingers kind of thing, to come in as well. You know, because playing in 4 competitions isn't a joke, and you know, we've already seen at the start of the season we had loads of injuries. So I think, you know, having a deep squad like Chelsea have, they've got 3 world-class strikers, and they're looking at signing more. You know, we shouldn't be ashamed or upset or worried about doing things like that. You know, this is Man United. This is what it should be. We should have, in my opinion anyway, I mean, I'm going to be bold about it, we shouldn't be worried about teams like Lyon. We should be better than teams like Lyon. And if the more money that goes into this, the more people who are watching this come and support at the stadium, you know, supporting online, following the girls, watching it on MUTV and things like that, then that will happen, because Man United shouldn't be worried or competing against, you know, there's always going to be competition, but, you know, we can easily dominate this, and, you know, why not? Why not? Why not go and win it? It's a 5-year plan. That's what she said, the boss. 5 years. It's 3 years now. Win the WSL this year, compete in the Champions League next year. Year 5, we'll be lifting the Champions League. You know, and I know that's brazen and bold, but why not? Why not?
If you said to us 2 years ago that we'd be in this position after like 2.5 years, then obviously, you know, at the moment we're doing everything right, aren't we? There's like little milestones each year. This is where we need to be, and to get to those milestones, we need to bring in different players, don't we? Or the players need to grow, and some of them have. But obviously, some of them haven't. I agree with yourself there, John Fry. Let me just catch up with a few comments. Marie doesn't want anybody from City or Liverpool. Don't blame you. We can't go saying that just yet, can we? But it'll all come out, won't it? I think concerning left back, if we get injuries, we might be able to cope with left back. That's not a bad call if needs be. To Spain, thank you, mate. I've been chatting to this guy on Twitter. Hi, guys. I don't know if you talked about Lotta. Do you think this area should be strengthened? We've kind of just been speaking about that. I think the area probably will be strengthened at some point, whether it's been now or the summer. But yeah, it will definitely be strengthened. Just one last thing before we move on to like a kind of Chelsea prediction and all that kind of stuff. I know that we've spoken about it a lot already, but maybe things have changed from now till then. Is there any players that maybe haven't been discussed about in the media that you'd like to see join that's potentially possible, or maybe rumours will start in the next 2 or 3 months in the build up to the summer? I don't think that these superstars will come maybe in January, because there's no talk of it, and they wouldn't come in January. But is there anyone that you like that maybe the media haven't mentioned just yet?
I think I've basically last week I'd said all the players I like, but I mean, Esther's on here. That's a player. Martine we've talked about. Eva is for me the one I really want to see, that I think will come in the summer. Bunny Shaw, but we're going to talk about her as well. But that's really one. I'm like a lot of guys on here. Some guys might not think they know a lot about women's football, but that's how we all started. I remember it's good to see Leslie back. I remember seeing this team first start, and I didn't know anyone. Didn't even know who Casey was. I saw her and I was like, "Oh, you're all right." I didn't know. I was like, I walked past in the street and I wouldn't know. And I think that's the beauty of it. We've learned it all together as one. We are still learning. I mean, that's what this show is for people to learn and develop. And we have these people like Eva, Esther as the screenshot, so that people can be like, right, oh, they're talking about Esther. Let me go and search her. And that's all you can do. Search these names that you see them popping up. I know a lot of names pop up on Twitter, and some of it's just jest and banter and fun. But like I said about the women's game, usually, if you say it is going to happen. And we've had really great guests on this show who are friends of the show, and they're the people that you need to be following. People like Brad, Rich. Obviously, follow us, follow the Barmy Army. But if you want to know stories, go and get after them. Yeah, I can only bring you what I know, and those are the guys that are hearing it as well. But we're hearing more stuff, aren't we, John? People can always reach out to us for anything they want pushing, or if they're telling me that the players want to join Man United, that's the difference that I'm seeing now, John. And it's fantastic. People are desperate to join. I know that's me, Adidas badge, but people are desperate now. And there was people that when we first formed didn't want to drop down, and now you're seeing people, hanging on a knife edge to join this club. And it's what you want to see, men and women. People are desperate. And that's gonna lead to more rumours, because people are that desperate. But people will say, "Oh, Natty doesn't know nothing." Listen, stick close.
No, that is absolutely true. I think the good thing that we've done, because we are so passionate. I mean, for myself, I'll just quickly say, in case there's people that don't know me in the comments or whatever, I just watched the first season on MUTV or whatever kind of information I could get. I couldn't even watch them all, but I made sure that I watched the highlights as much as I could. And then I joined Twitter to get a bit more information. That's how I met Natalie, and I started to chat to Natalie's mates, who was the Barmy Army. I loved absolutely every second of it. I started to memorise players' names, their positions, started to look forward to the following week's games. You start getting loyal to the players. And then I knew before that first season was over, right, I'm going to get a season ticket for that second season. And I did. And then I went to the Etihad, which was the first game of the second season, met up with Natalie in person for the first time. And before you know it, you just take over your life. So anyone, we're not experts in any way, shape or form, but it's a big part of our life. We spend a lot of time reading stuff, watching stuff. There's a guy in the comments here, I just mentioned him. I just messaged this guy from Spain. I don't know him from Adam. He's really polite, he's really friendly, he's really helpful. And this is what we do. We all help each other because we all crave information. Yeah. This guy from Spain, sorry, I don't know your real name, sorry, mate, but we just help each other out. And I know, Natalie, you do that 10 times more than I do. But this is what we've got. But this is what we didn't have 3 years ago. When I was searching for information in this first season, I couldn't find anyone apart from yourself, Nat. And now all of a sudden, everyone, people in the comments, people watching now, people crave information. Come on, let's talk about Chelsea then. 5 minutes to go. At the start of the week, I think you went for a 3-2 win. I think I went for a 2-2. I'm happy to stick with that kind of prediction, but I wouldn't be surprised if we sneak a win. What are your thoughts going now that we're getting nearer?
Nervous. The closer it gets, the nervous I get. For me, it doesn't matter now. It doesn't matter. Obviously, I want to win, but it doesn't matter what we do because no one's expecting us to do anything. So, and that's the mentality I want to bring back. And it's beautiful. It's the reason why we got that point because no one expected us to do it. I didn't even expect us to do it, and I think. I'm seeing a lot of talk now, Fran Kirby this, Fran Kirby that. Yes, fantastic for her. She scored 4 goals. But what about Tobin? What about Leah? What about Kristen Press, who's coming back? I don't think Leslie's going to make it, unfortunately. But hell, if Leslie was back, but they just want to talk about Kirby. They just want to talk about Kerr. They just want to talk about that. And that's the stuff that lights the fire under me. And I think, listen, there's good players on both teams. It's not a foregone conclusion that Chelsea are going to go out there, and I think that's what people expected at the start. And when we got that point, got that goal, you're celebrating like you've won the league. No. You wrote us off, mate. You said you were going to batter us. I'm still seeing it now. We're going to thrash Man United. Okay. So I just think Kirby, great, fantastic for her. But listen, Leah, Tobin, Press, Fuso, LJ's coming back as well. These are the people that are my main concern, and I think that's the people that should be our main concern. For me, Turner are bossing this league defensively. Honor boss Kirby anyway in the first game, so why can't she do it again? So, and that was a very, very first game in WSL. Now she's got all that experience behind her. I know City fans say about, Georgia Stanway, listen, she came out that second half and came out that second game and she was a different player. So for me, Jackie, listen, she does that for us, and that's another one that they don't talk about enough and they underestimate and they write her off because potentially she's not scored all these goals that all these other players are doing. For me, she's different class. We are a different team without Jackie, and her being fit, Lad being fit, Tooney, this is our team. This is Man United, and like we were saying earlier, United DNA, fight till the end. And I think that's what caught them off guard last time. To be honest, Chelsea, I think they didn't expect. They went 1-0 up, and it was and they didn't expect us to come back and score that goal. And then, to be honest, could have won it.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
I don't know. Do you want me to go on this? Stuart,
I would go for the centre back, but I wouldn't necessarily play ahead of Turner and Turner. I think I'm really happy with what we've got at the moment. And of course, I can see all the quality names that would add to our squad. Of course, it would add to our squad. But do I want to break up the midfield three? No. Do I want to take out Russo, Press, Heath, Galton, Hansen? No. I think the centre back position is probably where we just need to bolster. So for me, I would probably go for one of those. But yourself, then?
For me, the one player that I love the most from Chelsea, and I spoke to her a couple of times, she makes me laugh, Erin Cuthbert, and I think she's another one who can play all forward, false nine, on the wings, on this, she's up and down, and for me, she's got that, you can say fire to just fight to the end, and she's got that DNA that we love to see in players, so it would be her for me. But like you said, isn't it, we're just slowly going about our business, and like you say, that they talk about all the other players. Keep talking. We'll do it on the pitch, don't worry.
I don't know if you've texted Stu just yet, but Stu, if you're free next Thursday, come on the show.
He knows.
Yeah, because we planned you in for next Thursday, so you're on the show next week, and we'll have a bit of a talk about this. Absolutely, definitely, yeah.
Transfer show. Transfer Thursdays.
Yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely, yeah. Look, it is an hour's gone. Thank you, everybody. The viewing figures have been a great last couple of weeks. I don't know if it's just transfers or if it's because more teams are joining us or more fans all over the world or the topics that we're talking about. But we're actually seeing like an extra 100 views per show now, especially live as well. Whilst we're live. So thank you to everybody. Nat, give a shout out to all your socials.
Natalie_17, Barmy Army MUWFC. We've got our own personal social on All for United. I mean, I want to thank Ben for that, for allowing us to do that, using All for United's name just about the women's team. But, you know, hit me up, hit All for United Women up, hit All for United up, and just ask us what you want to see us talk about, because that's what it is. It's your show, and the more people that are viewing, the more people we're doing it for. And I love talking. I could sit and talk for hours. We can go do another show if you wanted, but we're not. And I'm getting told to get out. So, you know, but just hit us up if you want to hear us talking about a specific thing. Because that's why we're doing these transfer shows, because people are always asking me what's going on. So I'm here to bring it to you. What I know, anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And there'll be a few more things coming up in the near future. Thank you guys to everybody in the comments. Thank you, Nat. Thank you to All for United. And we'll see you again Sunday.